What's up, personal finance class? How you guys doing? I hope all is well. Despite the circumstances, I hope everyone's remained safe in this time, including your family, your friends, your loved ones those close to you. Miss you guys. Miss having class with you. Miss being at Curly. But at the same time, this is pretty cool that we have this opportunity to do something like this. And, I always look at these things as opportunities. I told you, when we were doing the stock market game, it's kind of a unique situation to be in. The fact that we started the stock market game right in the middle of this pandemic and economic collapse, which, again, will rebound. It will rebound, but it's just a very unique time. So there's going to be some changes to what we were going to do. There's a chance that we may not go back to school this year. Who knows, right? I may not be able to retrieve your projects from school. I'm not going to just have this class at this point just go through and, I'm not going to have you guys just go and do the project on your own and just turn it in. I don't think that would be fair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do some presentations. They're going to be fairly short, once a class or whatever, and have you answer some questions following that, and then we're going to go from there. All right. I'm just going to try to have this class evolve a little bit more. I want to be in touch with you guys. I want to be speaking with you. And we may do some Zoom meetings potentially as well. Those could be optional if you're having issues with something, if you want clarification, whatever it may be. But just do me a favor and keep an eye on Google Classrooms and what's going on there. Okay, so right now we're going to talk today about a topic, all right, buying a car. Okay, buying a car. We're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of buying new and used cars. All right, so this is part of the project that you'll be doing. All right, but at the same time, again, I might change the project a little bit just to make a little bit more sense for what we're doing. All right, if you've already done that, that's fine. Right, again, I'm going to be very flexible with how this class is going to go for the rest of the year. Want to get you guys a lot of grades, want to get you as many grades as possible, but at the same time want to give you guys not just random grades and busy work. I want to give you guys good, pointed lessons that will help you in your future and with personal finance. All right, I'm done talking about that. Let's go into buying a car. All right, so the topic here is new car versus a used car. All right, it's personal finance, and yeah, Mr. Ryan, sweet. All right, here we go. All right, so the introduction to buying a car. All right, so really the big thing here is that there's a variety of cars. There's a variety when it comes to being new or used. There's a variety when it comes to price. You could go low price. You could go higher price. Right, so there's a ton of variety. So the make and model, who makes the car, right? The make is who makes it. Is it Ford? Is it Chevy? Is it Lamborghini? Is it Volvo? Is it BMW? Is it Kia? Is it Honda? Right? What type of vehicle is it? Right? What's the model? Right? And the model could be an SUV type model. It could be a van. It could be a car. It could be a sports car, a sedan, a luxury vehicle. There are a lot of options there. Okay. New or used, this is going to affect the price and potentially the reliability of the car, right? And don't just think that used car means that the reliability is going to be faulty, all right? There are used cars out there that will last longer than new cars, all right? Why is that? We're going to talk about that. And then, of course, the price, all right? The price. Are you going to take out a loan to purchase this car, or are you going to pay cash, right? If you pay cash, you don't have any loan payments, so we'll talk about that as well. All right. I'm going to have a worksheet, all right, posted with this. You've probably already seen it at this point. Just answer the questions, all right? They don't need to be complete sentences, but they do need to be complete answers. Again, just trying to give you guys some points here, get some more assignments going so that we can really load up this fourth quarter a little bit more, all right? So here we go. What are the advantages of buying a new car? It's the first question. What are the advantages of buying a new car? All right, first of all, a warranty, right? A warranty. What is a warranty? It means if something happens to the car within a certain time period, right, the company is going to reimburse you. They may give you a new car. They may be able to fix it for free, right? So the warranty, if something happens to the car, it's protected, right? So that's one of the advantages of buying a new car is that it will come with a warranty. Right? And you need to know what that warranty is, of course, right? And what is under that warranty. Right? There's normally options for that. Right, another advantage is most of the time there's low maintenance. As I just said, sometimes that's not always true, but we'll talk about that and the disadvantages. Right, but there's normally, you can look at, one of the advantages of buying a new car is low maintenance, right? What that means is you're not going to have to get a bunch of repairs on the car. Do you still have to get oil changes? Yes. Will you still need to rotate the tires from time to time? Yes. What does that mean? Don't worry about it. Will you still need to pump up the tires? Yes. Will you still need to check the oil? Yes. Will you still need to put windshield wiper fluid in? Yes. But we're talking, there won't be major breakdowns within the car, right? You won't need to replace the exhaust system, hopefully, right? The transmission should last a long time. The engine should be solid, right? So low maintenance. You have to just do the standard normal maintenance that everybody has to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And then one of the bigger advantages as well is the latest technology, right? Nowadays, the cars, even the fast cars, have amazing gas mileage, right? Amazing gas mileage. There's lower emissions, right? We look at Tesla, right? Zero emissions cars. They're all just based off of battery power, right? It's amazing. So lower emissions, right? It's better for our environment, right? There are hybrids out there, hybrid cars that use a little bit of gas and also electricity, right, in order to run the car, okay? Which again is more efficient and oftentimes gives you better gas mileage. My car, right, it's not a new car, I got it used, but still, right, the latest technology. I got a 2014 Honda CRV, and I have a phone hookup, right, so every time I go into my car, when I sit down in my car, it will automatically connect, and it will continue to play the last song I was listening to, or the last podcast I was listening to. Will just continue with it right when I get in the car and turn it on. However, I don't have my camera. I do have a car camera as well. We'll talk about that. I do have a camera. It's not as clear. The screen isn't as big. I was in my brother-in-law's car the other day. This is before the pandemic, but I was in his car and he had this gigantic screen. It was really beautiful. The technology in his car was very attractive, and it was something that was pretty neat. So, again, you're going to have all this new technology in the new cars, and technology is moving at a fast rate. So that's something that's happening, every year. There's some kind of an upgrade. And as I said, cameras, right? So the latest technology is big, and you might want to look into some of that. Okay, so the warranty, low maintenance, latest technology, advantages. Disadvantages of buying a new car, right? Here's the biggest one is you lose money on it as soon as you drive it off the lot, right? As soon as you drive it off the lot, once it's been purchased and you've driven it off the lot, right, as a purchased vehicle, you are going to lose thousands of dollars immediately, right? There's massive depreciation in the first 2 or 3 years that you buy, that you have a car, right? So let's say I buy a new car for $30,000, and 3 years later, I'm like, this car's been good, but I want to get something else. I'm just tired of this car. Well, you're not getting $30,000 for that car, right? You're going to lose a massive amount of money to depreciation because you've been driving that car, for 3 years, all right? So that's a huge disadvantage. You will not be able to get back the thousands of dollars you spent. So if you bought it for $30,000 and you want to sell it in 3 years, right? You may lose $10,000. You may lose $5,000. You may lose $15,000. Depends on how well that model has done, right? In other situations, it depends on the reviews that people have on that car. There's a lot that goes into that, but it will depreciate a large amount within the first 2 to 3 years. It does not make sense to buy a new car unless you have money you don't mind losing. All right. So, to be honest with you, I've never purchased a new car. Never purchased a new car. Right. Never even thought about purchasing a new car. Again, I don't have money that I don't mind losing. All right. Part of that's being a teacher. Right? I'll be honest with you there. Part of that's being a teacher. Right. But it doesn't make sense to buy a new car unless you have money you don't mind losing. And that's not me saying that. This is coming from The Balance, great website that we've used a few times, right? And that's kind of common sense there, right? If you want to buy a new car, you need to be willing to take that depreciation hit, all right? And then brand new models can be faulty, all right? That's huge, all right? Brand new models can be faulty. Sometimes companies will switch engines, so maybe next year's Honda will have feature a new engine, right? Like a different type of engine that may be more fuel efficient, right? They may alter the design of it, right? And how can that be faulty? Well, what if the new engine that they put in, what if there's a major flaw in it, right? That, causes it to not last for 10 years, right? It lasts 8 years and then it breaks down in most vehicles, right? That could be a huge problem, right? And you don't know that. You don't know that when you buy that new car because it hasn't been tested, it hasn't been proven, right? My father, he bought my sister a 1997 Jeep Wrangler, and this is when my sister was, gosh, 17 years old. So this is like 10 years ago, but 10 years ago was like 2010, right? This is probably 2009ish, okay, 2009ish. So my dad bought my sister a 12-year-old Jeep Wrangler. Why the heck would he do that? Why would he buy her a 12-year-old car, right, for her first vehicle? Well, he did his research. In 1997 Jeep Wranglers, they last, right? They last a long time. The engine's a solid engine. It was a good vehicle, right? It had been a proven vehicle. So when he bought that car, my sister ended up having it until, I guess, a couple years ago, and it was still running. It actually ended up getting hit on the side of the road on a hit and run, and that was the only reason she had to get rid of that car. That car lasted her another 10 plus years. So that's huge. That goes to show you that there are reliable models out there, right? And new models can be faulty, right? Let's go into the advantages of buying a used car. One of the biggest advantages, as we talked about, there's the depreciation hit. So a previous owner took the biggest depreciation hit, right? So when you get that used car, you know that the previous owner is the one that took that depreciation hit, okay? So you may be able to actually sell your car for close to the amount you paid in the next few years. So I bought that 2014 Honda CR-V, right? And I've had it for almost a year now, right? Let's say in 2 years I want to sell it. Let's say, I don't remember the exact amount I paid for it, but let's say that I paid around $13,000 for that car, okay? In 3 years from now, I can still sell that car for around $10,000 probably, right? I'm driving in the city. There's low mileage. Right? I'm not putting a bunch more mileage on it. The depreciation hit has already been taken. So if I want to sell that and get most of my money back, I could, as long as I'm taking good care of the car, all right? Versus if I were to buy it new and then 3 years would want to sell it, I've lost $10,000-$15,000 on the car, all right? There's financing options still available for used cars. Just because it's used doesn't mean you have to pay cash for it, all right? You can still talk to banks, right? You can still communicate with credit unions, right, to secure a loan for the car, right? And here's one of the big bonuses is that you'll probably be able to secure a very low interest loan, right? So the car I purchased, if I would have gotten a $50,000 brand new CR-V with all the bells and whistles, right? Because of the expense because of how expensive the car is, right? I probably would have gotten an expensive loan with a higher interest rate, but the fact of the matter is I got a much better interest rate, a lower interest rate, so it means I will be paying less money in the long run, as you guys know. You could potentially pay cash. The first two cars I purchased, I paid cash. All right, now, when I say that, I wasn't like walking up there with like $10,000 in my hand, right? They were $2,500 cars, right? $2,000 to $2,500 cars that I just needed in the moment, kind of like an emergency. The car my parents got me, which was a Dodge Grand Caravan. Yeah, first car was a Grand Caravan, right? Big white van. I had Soccer Mom in it. It was great. After that blew up on me one day. I was just driving, and all of a sudden it started backfiring, and there were loud bangs and not good noises. All the bad noises, all of them, right? Screeching, smoke, steam, all the bad things. Okay, I needed a car, and I didn't have a ton of money, right? I had a couple thousand, and I found a car that was cheap, right? It was a '99 Ford Taurus, right? And I got that car for $2,000. The guy said, it said on the windshield, $2,500, right? I went up to him and I said, I'll give you $2,000 right now, cash for that car. And he goes, I'll take it. And I walked out and got the car for $2,000. So again, didn't have to pay no loan payments, right? Once I had it, I had it. And the car actually ended up lasting me about 3 years, I think. It ended up really paying itself off if you think about it, right? $2,500 for a car. Now it did have some issues with it. I did have to get a lot of repairs on it. The starter went up, I think, 3 times because there was an electricity issue as far as the battery surging power to it. I don't know exactly. I'm not a big car guy when it comes to fixing major issues, but there of course were some issues there. And then finally, lower insurance rates. Because you're not sitting there driving around a Ferrari, right? A $500,000 car, a $100,000 car, or even a $50,000 car. You're driving around something that's at a cheaper range. you're going to have lower insurance rates because there's less risk on the part of the insurance company. You also have the advantage of being able to choose a successful make and model, which is the exact example I was giving you with my father buying the car for my sister. Actually, my sister wanted me to go with her to buy her most recent car, and she said, hey, I'm looking at this, I can't remember the year, let's just say it was a 2014 Nissan Rogue, right? And I remember it was a Nissan Rogue. She was like, I'm looking at this car. Do you want to look at it with me? And I was like, yeah, but before we even go out there, I'm going to do some research. I'll get back to you. And hung up the phone with her, went online, and looked at all the consumer reports on this car, right, to see if people were having issues with it. And from what I saw, there was good reviews. There was very good reviews in this car. It's reliable. Haven't had an issue with it. Nothing's going wrong. Engine runs smoothly. Right, all of these are good signs that this car could potentially last a long time. Now, let's say it's a 2015. We only have 5 years of data to go off of. But if all of that data is coming back clean and good, right, then that might be a car that is worth spending some money on, right? And again, she got a used car, my sister, and it's lasted her a long time. I actually just saw her a couple minutes ago. She drove by my house and waved, and she was driving the car, and she's told me that it's been running great. All right. Disadvantages of buying a used car, as you can probably imagine, reliability and repairs. Right, I've been dealing with that. My Xterra, right? I had an Xterra, and I actually had it at Curly. It was the car I had when I first got the job at Curly. And I actually had to get an entire engine replacement. Now, luckily, I had what was known as a certified pre-owned car, right? So they certified this car was in great tip-top shape, good condition, the engine was working, everything was fine. Within the first 2 weeks of buying the car, the engine had a major flaw in it, and they ended up having to replace the entire engine, and I had to pay nothing for that. Now, you might say, well, that sounds like an advantage. Well, you have to pay extra money for a certified pre-owned car, right? It's a certification that includes a warranty based on time or mileage. So it could be, up to 50,000 miles, up to 100,000 miles, or up to 2 years, up to 3 years, depends, okay? But if I hadn't had a warranty on that and that engine went up after 3 weeks, I would have lost, I think the car cost me around 10 grand, right? I would have lost that. That would have been gone. I would have had to pay off the loan. I could have got mad at the company and asked for some kind of a deal. They didn't have to give it to me then, right? But since I had a warranty on the vehicle and I did pay extra for that warranty just because again, it's a used car, you get a little nervous. It ended up working out for me, right? So, but it's likely that you will need to make more repairs than a new car, right? And it says likely because most of the time that's the case, all right? But again, if a new car, it's a new model, new year, right, and they've completely changed the car, there may be a lot of issues. Sometimes there's recalls. You can actually ask Miss Reed about this if we ever see each other again, right, if anybody ever sees each other. She had a car that she purchased that had a major flaw, and she had to give her car back. And I believe they gave her a new car replacement, but it wasn't the car she initially wanted, so it kind of stunk that she had to go back and give her car away. But again, she did get a replacement car for that because she had bought it new. And then the car could break down completely, right? The car could completely just break down. You may not be able to. That's what could have happened to my Xterra. Luckily, I had the warranty, the used car warranty, which is something that you might want to look into. And you may not be able to select the color, right? I've never selected the color of my car, right? To an extent, right? To an extent, that Taurus that I got, that $2,000 car, it was a red Ford Taurus, right? I called it Hellrider, right? Thing, again, lasted me just long enough, right, to buy the Xterra that I had. And, I didn't get to select either color of those cars because it was kind of emergency buys in both situations. So it was just like, is this car going to run for long enough? Yep. Okay, great. I'm buying that. Cool. It's red, right? Recently with the CRV, wasn't exactly the color I wanted. In fact, the first CRV that I looked at was this really cool, like dark silver color. That I really liked, but the car did not drive as well as the one I purchased. It had tinted windows, it had better technology within the car, but the car itself didn't sound or run as well as the one that I bought. And I think that that's going to pay off in the long run for me. All right. I don't want a car that's going to break down completely in the next 3 years. I want this car to last me 10 years, so that was very important to me. All right. Last slide, and then we'll get it out. We'll be all done. All right, making the decision, take your time. You don't need to say yes to the first car. All right, my wife and I, we were hard bargainers with the first place that we went into. It was around, I think it was in Randallstown, and we're at this dealership, and the guy's trying to sell this car to us, trying. We're like, look, if we get it down to this price, we'll pull the trigger. We'll say yes, right? And he goes, well, we can't go down to that price. And I said, okay, well, we're gonna have to walk away. And he goes, I don't want you to walk away. And I said, then give us, that's the price. That is where we're sticking to. And he goes, I can't give it to you for that, but I can try to get it. And I said, no, like, $1,000 more, $2,000 more is not going to cut it. This is our limit. Like, this is our limit. So, we walked away and we did not purchase that car, right? He didn't call us back and say he was going to give it to us cheaper, nothing like that. We just found a better car, for a cheaper price. Honestly, we found the car that we wanted, and it took time. We had to go to 3 dealerships before we found it. So you don't need to say yes to the first car just because you like the way it looks, you like the way it feels, right? You have to do your research and take your time to find the best available option. Know what you can afford, right? You want to be able to pay that car off within 3 years. If you're taking longer than 3 years to pay that car off, you probably can't afford that car, right? And that could be a huge issue. What if you get into a car accident within the first year of having it? Now you're stuck with a loan for 5 years on a car that you don't even have. Now you have to get another car, and it becomes a huge disaster. So you got to be really smart about knowing what you can afford, right? And again, part of that is looking at your bank account, knowing what kind of loan you can get, and how much you can afford on a month-to-month basis. Make sure the car fits needs and lifestyle. It was not long ago that I wanted, the big Jeep or the Xterra with the 4-wheel drive and the stick shift and all that stuff. Great, cool. I bought a CRV because eventually I'm going to have kids and I'm going to have to transport them from place to place in a safe, reliable vehicle. That was just a fact of the matter, right? So that's why I have the Honda CRV. Okay, it fits my needs and my lifestyle. I didn't have a choice when it came to the Caravan, right? And as well as the Taurus, I didn't really necessarily want an old 99 Ford Taurus. But as far as my needs and my lifestyle, needed a car. Lifestyle, I was broke, right? I just needed a car. It didn't matter. I didn't have a lifestyle choice, right? I just needed a car that was going to get me from point A to point B on a daily basis. And then shop around for the best loan. Now, this is oftentimes done by the dealership. But you can kind of negotiate a little bit here, right? You can talk to these banks and talk to the dealership and say, hey, yeah, this loan, we need to, we have great credit. I have great credit. I don't understand why this interest rate is so high. I want to get that interest rate down. Can we contact the bank and see what they can do about this? This is not my first loan. I've perfect credit, or I've paid everything off that I've ever taken a loan out on. Whatever it might be, you got to shop around for the best loan. All right, so do me a favor, fellas. Fill out that worksheet that came along with this PowerPoint. All right. Sorry, I was a little bit talkative. I haven't talked to you guys in a long time. I miss you. Hopefully we can see each other soon. Let's get some assignments in. All right, I'll try to make them simple, but yet effective, meaning that you can use these things hopefully in the future. Some of you guys have already bought cars. Some of you have bought used cars. Some of you have been given some cars from your parents, right? Maybe it's their old car, whatever it might be. Start thinking about what's your next move. If you don't have a car right now and you don't have you don't have one that your parents are going to lend to you in the future or whatever, what are you going to do, right? Are you going to buy a used car? Are you going to buy a new car? I want you to think about those things. So have a great day, fellas. Stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully we see each other soon. All right, I'll talk to you guys.